One day, I'm going to eat better. One day, I'm going to wake up earlier. One day, I'm going to make time to do the things that I love and maybe go fishing. One day, I'm going to make time to play with my kids. One day, I'm going to make time to be with my wife. One day, I'm going to build that business plan for next year. One day. Words matter. Words matter more than they think you do. I used to smoke, actually, a long time ago. Not a good habit. Knowing what I know now today, I wish I never smoked. But I read a book called Alan Carr's Easy Way to Quit Smoking. And I never finished the book. I got up to a point where I read one line in that book that changed everything for me. And he said, imagine having a habit in Canada with minus 40 degrees Celsius outside, where you're with your friends and you're having dinner and everything's fun. And you decide to get up and leave that table, to go outside, to stand in minus 40-degree weather by yourself and light up something that will kill you one day. In fact, we know it will. And sit there for 7 to 10 minutes by yourself, sucking on the cigarette and going back inside. And then think about a friend that asks you, hey, are you trying to quit smoking, or are you a smoker? And you turn around to that friend and you're like, yeah, I'm trying to quit. Or you turn around to that friend and say, no, I'm not a smoker anymore. There's a huge difference in the language that you tell yourself. Right. So the concept of the one day is something that shifted in my mind. And I had to actively start thinking about all the aspects of my life that I wanted to change, and then shift from one day to day one. Meaning, in the major components of my life that lead to happiness and the major components of my life that lead to unhappiness, recognizing the actions that you're taking on a daily basis, if they're an addition or a subtraction to your life, and making a decision of, is today going to be day one, or is today going to be one day, in all of those things, right? If I make it really, really simple, and I just broke it down by that pattern I just shared on the faith side of things, right? I know for myself, opening my Bible and sitting in prayer and just silence is something that makes me better. It took me probably 3 years to really start recognizing that the only time that I know I am going to do it is first thing in the morning before anything else. And there is a place where I do it. And in that place, I find rest. And in that rest, I find energy. Now, little caveat, the days I'm not here or I'm traveling, I can still be okay not doing it at that exact time, right? You don't have to create a crazy structure in your life that if you don't do it at that exact time or check off that time block, oh my gosh, everything's falling apart. The concept that I'm teaching you is that if you have a structure, and even if you only do it 60% of the time, you are better than 99.9% of the world. So there's a very simple thing, right? So whatever fills that cup for you, write it down and make a point of doing it. The second piece was my family, right? I talk about the relationship that I have with my wife. My heart's not right with God. I'm not going to be in a good place to serve my wife. And my relationship with my wife is something I have to work on every day. There's things that I do that will negatively impact my relationship with my wife, like not communicating my schedule and what I'm doing, or maybe why I'm doing it. Sirhan actually taught me that. That was one of the biggest things I've ever learned from Ryan. Was my wife has the ability of canceling any meetings after 6 p.m. She typically knows what's going on 2 weeks ahead of time. I am maybe 40% of where I want to be, if we're being very honest right now, in terms of where that's at. But we have this thing that we do now, what's called a sync meeting, where we just talk about the things, we look at the calendar, and I can tell you it's an absolute game changer. So there's a little tip for you, for your spouse or your family, right? Communicate, over communicate on a regular basis. Then I go to the next bucket, fitness. Let's talk about something I don't want to do. I don't want to eat after 8 p.m. at night because I know digestively it's not great for me. But at the same time, something that's a positive that I started implementing was tracking how much food I'm eating. I work out a lot. I'm in recovery. I had a massive hip surgery. So that's a big, big thing that, for me is important that I recover properly. But nutrition is something I really was just following all these different kind of fad diets and like, what's the popular thing of the day? And okay, now I'll do intermittent fasting, and then I'll eat like, keto and low carb. And when I started tracking my nutrition, I realized I was massively undernourished. And my energy levels throughout the day were attributed directly to my undernourishment. And what's amazing is there's apps like MyFitnessPal that you can use, that you can just scan the labels of USPs of the things that you're eating just to get a snapshot of what you're actually putting into your body, how much rest you're getting. There's things like a Whoop strap that I'm wearing right here that will track your sleep and recovery. And I started thinking of my fitness holistically. Now, the way that I started doing it is I started focusing on it and saying, you know what, today's going to be day one where I track what I'm eating, typically when I go to sleep, and what you measure gets improved. Then I go to the fun aspect of my life. I love fishing. When I was having actually my hip procedure, I used to do jujitsu a lot, and having a major hip surgery really puts you in a place where you can't train as much. So to scratch that itch and, the mindset piece that jujitsu gave me of just focusing and shutting out the noise and focusing on one thing that you suck at until you get really good at it, I found in fly fishing. So on the fun side of things, if my heart's right with God, I'm in a good place with my wife, I can go work out and I'm in good physical shape, I can have all the fun in the world because I can hike for hours. I can go out with my friends. I can bike. I can surf. I can do the things that really fill my cup if I'm thoughtful about it. But for years, I was like, one day I'm going to go fly fishing, but I didn't really know how to fly fish. And I kept telling myself, like, yeah, oh no, like I would build it up in my head and always have excuses as to why I'm not going to do the thing I love. Let's just do a little thought experiment. Drop in the comments something that you love that you don't do enough of. Maybe it's photography, maybe it's art, maybe it's painting, maybe it's writing, maybe it's travel, maybe it's going to really good restaurants. What do you love that you don't do enough of? And during that time when everything was shut down, what I decided to do was go on Instagram, find a guy in my area that had a fly fishing page, and just ask a question. Hey, do you know anybody that does fly fishing trips or guiding? Fun fact, he did. So I actually said, let's go. And I booked it then and there. Let me tell you this, right? Whether you're sitting with a friend knowing that you need to get together with them, you want to plan a lunch, you want to go do something fun, the biggest thing that you can do is do it right away. Put it in your calendar and then make a commitment. Stop waiting for perfect, because perfect will never come. Every single person that I admire that has achieved anything, all these people on this wall, George St. Pierre, Gordon Ryan, Messi, Sirhan, Francis Chan, Billy Graham, Goggins, all of these people took a step forward and didn't overcomplicate it. They didn't give themselves excuses, and they didn't say, I'll do this one day. They said day one. Kobe Bryant. What if Kobe Bryant said, one day I'm going to go start shooting some basketballs? Or what if Kobe Bryant said, this is day one of me shooting 100 basketballs every day until it became 1,000 basketballs every day? I bet you unequivocally everybody that you admire and whatever you want to accomplish definitely decided today is going to be day one in something. And I'm going to fall, and it's going to be dirty, and it's going to be gritty, but it doesn't matter, because if I do the active indicators of success, the success will come, albeit not today. If you want to be a speaker, you want to be a coach, you want to be an amazing real estate agent, you want to be a craftsman, you want to be a carpenter, a painter, a photographer, a YouTuber, none of the people that have achieved a level of success got there overnight. So please, please, please understand that this game is about being patient. But I went through my pillars, right? Faith, family, fitness, fun. So now my heart's right with God. I'm in a good place with my wife, so I can do the things that I want to do, right? Because we all understand that order. Imagine going fly fishing when you're not in a good place with your family and getting the text messages, or going out golfing, and you didn't communicate properly with your family. You didn't fill those cups. Are you having more fun, or are you having more fun if those cups are full? Just ask yourself that question. And then go to the very end and go to the finances piece, right? We need resources to survive. It's one of the most inherent things in life. I think sometimes we lose perspective that we live in North America. We live in one of the safest, cleanest places on the planet. I know not everybody is in the same situation. Trust me, I'm in very, very different properties all the time. I haven't always had what we have today, right? My past, and I've shared this on this channel before, is I overcame addiction over a decade ago, almost died 3 times, and literally didn't know where my next meal was coming from at one point in time. I don't share that a ton on this channel, but I was so far into the negative aspect of my life that it was destroying me and I didn't see a way out. What's crazy is, and I'm going on a tangent here, when I'm in downtown London, Ontario, and I see what's happening to our downtown cores and I see what's happening in many other downtown cities, it is light years beyond the problems that I had because of the issues and the drugs that are out there these days. And I pray for these people, but I can actually see in their eyes a glimmer of what my life could have been. My older roommate passed away from an overdose, and I still remember having a conversation with him, offering him a place to live if he could come live with me and just be clean. And he didn't show up, and unfortunately went down that path. That could have been me if I didn't decide that tomorrow was going to be my day one. And if I didn't have people that pulled me out, because you can make a choice on a daily basis, right? You can choose towards going towards the light, or you can choose towards going towards the dark. And it's pretty simple if you actually break down, the fruits of the spirit: love, peace, joy, being grateful for the things around you. Or if you really do think of the inherent sins that we all fall into, which is gluttony, lust, envy. These are all things that the more we lean into those, the more we tend to attract those things, right? So I really want you to think about this as you go through your daily basis and think about the actions that you're putting forth. Now let's talk about making it super tactical, right, Justin? Oh my gosh, like you're going down this wormhole about all these different aspects of your life. I'm here to learn about business. How'd you build a real estate brokerage? How are you attracting a boatload of business? Give me something I can sink my teeth into. The reason I started with the structure is if I had known that 10 years ago, I would be probably 100 times beyond where I am right now. I know it now, and I got lots of time, even though I'm in my early 40s. What I'm going to do over the next 10 years will blow your mind, knowing the compounding effect of those aspects of my life. But let's do one simple thing: content production. You know that shooting video will change everything for you. I think we all know that, right? We all scroll on Instagram and TikTok and all the platforms, and we consume a boatload of content, and we're wondering, how do they do those captions? How do they do this? How do they do that? I can't do that. I'm not good. I don't have the camera gear. I don't have the production team. Excuses, excuses, excuses. I promise you, the number one tip that I could give every single person here in terms of content production, getting good on camera and getting on podcasts, drop a heart in the chat. I'll be back on Clubhouse in a second, and YouTube as well. Drop a heart in the chat if you want to be on podcasts. Drop a heart in the chat if you want your reels to go viral and you want to get thousands of people watching them every single day. Here's how you're going to do it. You're going to say, hey, Siri, add a reminder. Reoccurring event every 2 hours to post an Instagram story. And all you're going to do is, what are you doing? Where are you doing it? And who are you doing it with? And you're going to open Instagram and you're going to tap the story bubble and you're going to put your face in it, because if you don't, nobody's going to know it's you. And it could be anybody that basically creates that brand. And you're going to talk about it. I'm shooting a live on Clubhouse and YouTube, and I'm talking about the 5 pillars that I focus on and making a decision to make day one. And I'm going to tell my audience what that is. And then in 4 hours, I'm going to be actually with a security guy at a property, setting up cameras and helping a client prep a property. Then 4 hours after that, I'm going to be shooting a listing video with Nico, and it's going to be beautiful outside. And this place is fronting on a lake in Grand Bend. It's unbelievable. And then 4 hours after that, I may be fishing. So the pattern of me posting 4 times a day, each one of those clips is going to take me 10 seconds. I don't care how I look on camera, because it's going to disappear in 24 hours. I'm actually probably going to fumble my words, which is going to make me more human, which is going to make the people watching it realize, oh, Justin's just like me. He's not perfect. And the consistency is going to build the engagement and the audience of like-minded people. By me talking about my faith, I am going to repel somebody that never, ever wants to work with a Christian and attract people that perhaps do. I'm going to bring in people that get excited about building businesses, living a fruitful life, compounding networks, that want to meet all the people that I mentioned, that want to get connected with my podcast guests, that think that my network can help them level up their network, and it's going to attract those people. But if I just said to myself, tomorrow I'm going to do that, or one day I'm going to shoot my stories, then in a year, I'm going to be in the same place that I am today. And I'm talking to myself just as much as anybody else. I told myself for years, I am going to start a YouTube channel. 4 years, I got all this content. I'm going to start putting it on. It's going to make a difference. About a year and a half ago, I got serious about it. And in a year and a half, the exponential growth of this channel and my main channel, which is Prime Real Estate, would blow your mind. Went from 200 subscribers to, on the Prime channel to we're just over 3,100 now. I'm tracking that data. Actually, Mike Sherrard's a friend of mine. He's got 80,000 subscribers on that channel, lives a full-time, creator lifestyle. And he told me, like, if you look at the metrics, he's like, you'll be there in, 3 to 4 years if you just did it consistently. So not getting stuck with the vanity metrics of, I'm not hitting the views, I'm not hitting the subscribers today. I know that one day I will if I keep up the videos and I keep up the action. This channel was an absolute fire hose of content. Now I know it's simply real estate, strategy, and business. That's it. But more so strategy and business, with a dash of knowing that I'm in real estate on the side. And the more that I'm getting into this, I'm realizing like my audience, my content speaks to a very broad audience. Like, Justin, you don't have to focus on real estate because the principles of what you teach, they work if you own a coffee shop, if you own a sneaker shop, like it's all sales, marketing, branding, and strategy, everything. And that's what really excites me, is helping people find success in what they do. But the last piece of it that I shared of how does this focus actually impact my day-to-day is I've created all of my channels and all of my content because I know if I create a great community of people and they hear the word real estate, I want to become known as the most trusted guy with the best strategy on the planet. And you will send me a DM on Instagram and I will hook you up with somebody in your area that thinks like I do. And that's the end game that I discovered by doing these channels for a year and a half and talking to my audience and asking them, what content do you like? What do you want to see me do more of? Like, genuinely in the DMs. If you're here watching this, DM me on Instagram. I want to know in this segment, what did you find valuable? I want to know, is there any one of those aspects that you want me to do a full segment on? I do these videos for the viewers because it makes me better by proxy. But I would never have been able to create the global referral network that I have had I not decided that today was going to be day one of me committing to doing these videos every Friday morning at 7 a.m. And I struggled for a long time until I found Breakfast with Champions. And I see these wonderful people like Kim Walsh Phillips, Dr. JD Lacey. I see Glenn, Ramon, and all of these people that I feel accountable to shoot these segments on Friday. And sometimes I get crazy and I do screen shares and I dig in like deep on, okay, this is how I come up with my ideas. This is how I shoot them. This is all the tech that I do. And my live streams are very interactive. You can go back on this channel and watch them. And then sometimes I just want to tell you where my heart's at and where my head's at. And I think the reason that I want to do that is now that I've said it, I got to be about it. And about a year, I would love for you to come back to this video and be like, man, Justin, from where you were to where you are today, the production quality, the structure of the content, it's maybe a little bit more focused than this segment was today. And your growth has been amazing. And I want you to be a part of that as much as I want to be a part of what you're doing. I think that is the absolute key. One, decide that today is going to be your day one and not just another one day. And then find a group of people that are in alignment with you in terms of what you're trying to accomplish. Because I promise you, that will change everything for you. So let me ask you a question before I let you go and go back to Clubhouse, and we can do an open mic for about 5 minutes here. You let me know. I genuinely want to know this. Is today going to be your day one, or is it just going to be another one day? If you want to connect with me directly, best way to do that is go to justinconico.com. I actually have some PDFs of things that helped me get started on YouTube. This PDF, if you fill this form out, it'll get you on my mailing list. Just when I send out my segments and resources and whatnot, again, I don't sell anything. This is just for me to communicate with you all, and you can communicate directly with me. I actually answer these emails. These PDFs were how I got started on YouTube. It's how I started thinking about my calendar and building out the aspects of my life so that I could hold myself accountable. The content creation guide is literally, I should probably refine it a little bit, but it's still really good. It gives you the structure of how I think about content creation, my pillars of content and whatnot. And then the daily planner sheet was, how I would track aspects of my life. So you can have this all for free. Again, I don't sell anything. The best way to reach me would be Instagram. And then if you want to listen to other people that are much smarter than me, the Prime People podcast is one of my favorite things I do. I bring people in and I dig into their stories. And I promise you, one of my favorite things about the Prime People podcast, one of the questions I ask every guest is, how has failure shaped your life? And if you're listening to this ever feeling like you're not good enough, I promise you, you are beautifully and wonderfully made in your own right. We are all inherently different. The world is a salad. We need every flavor, color, style you could possibly imagine because we are much better together than we are ever apart. The world is not an island. You are not by yourself. So reach out if you ever need any help. But thanks for joining me on the stream. I'll be back on Clubhouse for a live Q&A. And